This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is Christian Taylor Wilkinson, the CEO of Altona Rare Earths, following the publication of the company's final results. So hello, Christian. Welcome onto Stockbox. How are you doing?
Fine. Morning, Mark. Are you well?
Yes, I'm very good. Thank you, Christian. Thank you for your time today. So let's just go through some of the highlights. We did speak to the COO of Altona just the other week, Cedric Simonet, and we were talking about a lot of these things, such as completing the drilling program on time and on budget.
It's feeling very bullish.
He is feeling very bullish. He definitely is. Of course, the JORC as well from Monte Moambe. He mentioned that the assays will be received fairly rapidly as well. And one thing that stuck out to me, he said it's shaping up to be a significant, high-grade, viable rare earth project suitable for open pit mining.
Who am I to argue with that comment, eh?
Well, exactly. But here we are at the end of this year, 2022. Just sum it up for us, Christian. What's been the achievements, and of course the non-achievements will be the IPO as well. But just from your own words, tell us what this year's been like.
Yeah, we put out the final results this morning. This was our first full year trading as a rare earth mining exploration company, and it's been exactly as we set out. The operations are have been perfectly executed. We haven't spent more money than necessary. We haven't drilled more holes than needed, and yet we have internally identified the size, parameters, tonnage, grade of this asset by doing on-site analysis. Every hole that we drill, we do analysis of it. This will be confirmed hopefully in the next 3 months or so when we get the assay results back. They've already been shipped to Intertek in South Africa and to Australia. They will take place over the winter. And we're hoping that the results will come back, as Cedric said, so to show that we've got an asset somewhere north of 20 million tons, but with total rare earth oxide north of 2%, maybe up to 2.5%, which puts us in sort of the top 2 or 3 carbonatite projects for rare earths in Africa. And from a standing start of 18 months ago when we first acquired this asset, it's phenomenal, and yet, of course, it has not been reflected in our share price, which breaks my heart every time I have a look. But we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk sort of more about what we've achieved in the year. So, as on the highlights page in the financial results, our assets are up threefold to 1.4 million pounds. Yet the market cap is still reflected at 2.3 million pounds. Loss per share has been reduced significantly. We're never going to be a profitable company, or not going to be a profitable company for a number of years because we're an exploration vehicle. So something's going to have to go into production first. So if we can keep our loss per share low, then I think that's a good indicator of it. We've raised 1.75 million pounds in the year. That's been deployed mostly into Africa for the projects. We have a team of people on the ground now of about 35 in Mozambique. We have agreements in place to investigate further half a dozen other assets in countries near Mozambique, which is our base of operations at the moment with Monte Moambe. So I think 2023 will do three things. One, we'll get this listing sorted. Secondly, we're going to start pre-feasibility at Monte Moambe. It's a 2-year program, but the first thing we'll do is kickstart with a scoping study. So we'll see just what the metallurgy is like there, what rare earths we've got, what grades they've got, what value we can assign to them in this basket price. And then, of course, we can start looking at the true valuation of the projects. And thirdly, we will hope to crack on with one or two more projects, and they will either be something that we've a greenfield site that we've registered in our own name, giving us 100% ownership from day one, or it will be another acquisition where we'll have a farming agreement like Monte Moambe, starting from a low percentage up to 70%. So yeah, so in a nutshell, look, we started the year. Our year runs from the 1st of July to the 30th of June. We started it as a small company with no operations in place, with little cash, and we've done everything we've set out to achieve.
Good. Well, it certainly looks like you have done what you wanted to achieve, aside from getting that listing. Of course, the company is listed on Aquis, but the idea is to move over to the main market. But to be able to continue going through and raising the money that you've needed to raise to get those operations completed as you wanted to, the company is definitely in a different position from a year ago. And looking into 2023, you're looking to get that resource estimate in Q1 and the scoping study in Q2. So lots of work to happen early part of the year. And you mentioned there that you want to fast track the Monte Moambe project through to feasibility and into production. So yeah, very bold statements to make, Christian.
Yeah, there's no point waiting. There's an absolute global need for certain types of rare earths. Not all 17 of them. Some of them are far more abundant than others. But the magnet metals, neodymium, praseodymium on the light side, dysprosium, terbium on the heavy side, these we have again internally reported at quite high grades. Certainly economically viable grades. These are the ones, if you look at the full spectrum of rare earths, they only represent 20% of the volume of rare earths produced, but they represent 80% of the value. So any company that's looking to start exploring a rare earth project to take it to development really needs to have good quantities of these 4-5 elements. We're lucky because we have that. We're also lucky with the geometry of the project as well. We've identified 4 separate ore bodies now. And these are sort of lying sort of 800 meters, or the biggest is 800 meters by 150 meters. And the way we've drilled into it and where we've identified the rare earths are sort of lying in slabs in the ground with very little overburden as well. So some of the holes are showing that the rare earths literally starting at the surface down to 100 meters. Sometimes we have got to go 20, 30 meters down, but then it's there. We've identified, and the way they lie in the ground, it's unusual or unique. High grade zone, and next to it is a low grade zone. And whereas we could be unfortunate with the low grade zone because the total rare earth oxide is sort of 0.5% to 1%. However, that's also rich in other elements other metals that we could extract and sell. So therefore it counteracts the lack of rare earths. But in these high grade slabs, which are sort of fairly wide, we're getting hits up to sort of 6-7% total rare earth oxide. So it'll be little waste, easy to access, and sort of strip mining. It'll just move forward in a very logical space. And because these in the basin, which is sort of 19 square kilometers, we've got these target areas fairly well spaced out, so they won't overlap when we're sort of making spoil heaps for the soil before we put it back in. So it's every box you can possibly tick for at this stage in the journey has been ticked.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. So as we go into the new year, then plenty of news flow to come then from Monte Moambe. And what about any other projects? I noticed in the finals that you weren't continuing with some of the other ones you were looking at, but is that still on the cards, other projects, or is the focus purely going to be on Monte Moambe?
No. So the 2 projects we rejected during the year, they were different reasons. One was in a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So environmentally mining that would have been pretty tough. And the other one, after investigation, what we were told was the potential size and grade didn't pan out to be that. And Cedric has enough experience and knowledge and skill and the team behind him that we can quickly identify things like that. So we didn't go and waste months and millions of pounds pursuing it. But what we have done now is, as I said, we found maybe 3 or 4 sites that tick all the boxes. They have been, we have done some soil sampling there. They have been sent off to the lab. So once we get off Aquis onto a main exchange, notice I didn't mention any names there, we will announce their acquisition. We'll move forward and announce it. I think it would be wrong of us to take hold of these licenses now if the size of funding that we would need to pursue them alongside Monte Moambe didn't happen. It would be wrong to sort of buy an asset and sit on it. We don't want to do that. That's just not what it is. If we buy something, we need to start working on it immediately. Therefore, the funding has to be available. And I think the size of funding we're needing to do that, Aquis unfortunately cannot offer us. And likewise, the liquidity issues we seem to be facing. Today's results, I thought, were pretty good. I thought they were very good. And yet, if you look at the share price movement today, we've seen absolutely nothing. I don't know if it's unusual for chief execs to talk about movements in share price and valuations and stuff when they have something to report, but I think that's the whole picture with Altona. I speak to shareholders regularly, and they're very complimentary about the operations side, but obviously they're very frustrated about the fact that it's not factored into the share price, and therefore our shareholders are having quite a hard time at the moment. They can see where this company should be going, but it hasn't been reflected. And we're doing all we can to ensure two things are happening. The operations side doesn't miss a step. Every milestone we set has to be achieved. At the same time, we're driving as hard as we can. We're working with the FCA, bending over backwards to accommodate their requests, their questions. We haven't been provided with a timeline. That's one of the frustrating things about it. So again, fingers crossed, but my fingers have been crossed now for at least 12 months, Mark, as of yours, I hope. So I think something has to happen. So as we said, we are being prudent in looking at alternatives to the LSE standard. We have to,
okay,
because even if it's a yes, but it's a yes in 6 months' time, that's not what we've been talking to shareholders, and it's time to get some reward put back to our shareholders, and that's a regulated stock exchange.
Okay, well, thank you for that bit of insight then to what's going on with the IPO. It is very important. I'm sure shareholders do feel the same frustration as you, Christian, considering the progress the company has made in the last 12 months.
Yeah,
but
thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Well, for now, I wish you a happy Christmas, happy holidays. Christian Taylor Wilkinson, the CEO of Altona Rare Earths, and we'll talk in the new year.
Thanks, Mark. Happy Christmas.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.